Hi, everybody. I'm Alexis, and I work for a technology company. A really great pleasure to be here today with you guys. A little bit about my background. I have been working with innovation and digital transformation, helping organizations to adopt different tools or services in those ambitions for going on 20 years. And I am here to tell you a little bit about some observations from the front line from a company I partnered with about 2 years ago called TheyDo. And you can see some stats about us. We are a fast growing but young company, and we're building a journey management software tool. Now, tools don't make transformations, but if you're trying to spread global literacy without a printing press, the right tool can be very helpful. So, what I'd like to share today is a little bit from the front lines. As we are one piece of that puzzle, we get to work with many different organizations. We get to see what their challenges are. And so for today, what I want to share with you are some observations, starting with what is the state of the art of the customer-centric organization today? What does it look like? What are some of the common challenges that they are facing as they are trying to scale this, what we call journey management, or you can call it journey ops, customer centricity, really putting that at the heart of the organization. Some of the observations of how to get around those key barriers to scalability, as well as getting away from general and moving into maybe more a specific concrete example of how we've seen this work. And finally, not to leave you just with theory, I will leave you with one small action that you can take if you want to start exploring how you can deploy this in your own organization today. So I'll try and do that all in less than 20 minutes. And I have the clicker going down. So if you guys are ready, everybody ready? So we are here because I bet every single one of your organizations should look like this. We have somewhere in our strategy, we're putting the customer at the center of our organization. We're going to be a customer-centric company. We're going to put customer centricity is at the front of our growth strategy, right? Nobody's probably here today because they haven't won this stage. So what does the customer-centric organization look like today, having won this strategic battle? Well, it still looks like this, a sort of inside-out perspective where we have various operational, product, team, fill in the blank, combination of those silos, all of them merrily taking decisions independently of each other. And so what have we done to introduce customer centricity into this model? So I have three variations. This is the first one. Where does customer centricity happen in your organization? When you see your business model, I promise I haven't stolen it, raise your hand. So we have fragmented customer insights and being collected around in some area pockets more than others. Okay, I'll take nodding instead of hands. It's Finland, so we're a little more reserved. It's okay. Or you could be, we do everything at the very end, and the product teams or the operational teams, they pull us in after they've actually done everything, and they're like, could you just customer centric this? Just do some service design. Tell us we're right. Or, and I'm hoping there's going to be a lot of hands here. We are drowning in customer insights and observations, quant, qual. Everybody's doing it differently. We have people who are doing process maps and calling them customer journeys, things all over the place. And we are drowning in these dashboards. We don't need more dashboards. We don't need more data. And so how are we going to solve from this? Oh, I keep pressing the wrong, there we go. This is also what we see across the organization. So you are in good company. And we actually saw this because our co-founders were people like you. They still are people like you. They are service design background. They had an agency. They would come in like a SWAT team and try and help organizations to move away from this, to truly put customer centricity. We call it the customer journey. We think that should be at the center of every organization's business decision, from strategy down to operations. But the reality is that we would encounter the same challenges as you. And we finally realized that one of the key barriers to really scaling, once you've made those hard-won strategic wins, once you're starting to collect the data, because we're all doing that now, right? We've got voice of the customer. We're helping people to understand that customer journey map in various areas. We're collecting the data. And yet, to get from here to where we want to be, we think what you need is this. Now, you can call it journey ops. We call it journey management. but we think that you need to have a system that helps to remove those key barriers to adoption. Because at the end of the day, we educate, we train, we learn, but we need to help the organization. We need to remove the things that are stopping them from actually using this in practice at scale. Again, from strategy all the way down to helping our micro teams get a better UX experience at the shop out cart. What does that look like? What are those barriers? And these are the things that we see time and time again within the organizations that we talk with. The first one is that when we talk about a customer journey, it often looks like this. Does this look, at least when you come in, and a lot of time and energy is sucked out of your teams and out of your ability to create value by having to make the transformation from this to this. And this is a great start, right? We're getting people from stopping from thinking inside out and getting to understand, my customer is also my colleague's customer and also my other team's customer and also the other market's customer. And it does a great job, but it's not scalable. The time that we take going from here to here is tremendous, and it doesn't move at the speed of business. So that's the first key challenge. The second key challenge is that once we've made it, it's a static snapshot in time. How do we keep these up to date? How do we keep track of them? Especially when we have enthusiastic organizations. I was just talking with somebody who was mentioning that they had just announced that customer centricity is going to be in the center of their strategy. So the whole organization was working with customer journeys. How do you even keep track of all of those? And if we're spending most of our precious time, expertise, and knowledge, how can we actually transform if we're spending most of our time creating these perishable views? That, again, if we are able to affect a change, how do we keep track of it? How do we actually prove to the business in the language that they speak, which is hard metrics, ideally against revenue created or operational effectiveness improved? How do we keep track of that all in a static image such as this? So that's barrier number 2, is being able to move at the speed of our organizations. And finally, if only we could capture the complexity of our incredibly complex city of Helsinki was a great example just now, in just a single view. We know that our organizations are massively complex. That's why when people get religion about service design, customer journeys, customer centricity, they start all practicing it and they come up with a different solution. It's like everybody created language and they all ended up with the Latin alphabet. That's not how it turned out at the end. And so if we cannot solve these 3 issues of freeing up our time to really help in the transformation, so we stop becoming artists crafting single pieces of journey artwork, but really helping do the work afterwards, like Essa was talking about helping the organization and the roles and getting that rigor in place. If we can't move at the speed of the business, we can't also update these journeys across the multitude of complexity, never forgetting all that data that we already helped them translate. We can't forget the data, but we need to be able to show at whatever level we need to. Zoom out for our executive team to help them understand what are those trends that are crossing different parts of the business, but also zoom down to our product teams and help them understand, why are people rage clicking at this certain point on the website? All of those need to interconnect in a single place. And if we can solve those, remove those barriers, then we can start scaling. Then we will see adoption. And this is what we believe needs to happen. We are building the platform that is going to help with that revolution, that is leading organizations taking the data straight in from the raw source. Sneak preview, we'll be announcing our Journey AI formally, I think in about a week or 2 here, where you will literally get hours, potentially 40 to 80 hours back in your schedule by allowing the Journey AI to create the journeys from the raw data as a rough draft for you to start. But then also being able to put that as a business decision-making unit, understanding and identifying where those priorities are with the right people, with the right structure, that you have time to now help organize, introduce, and measure the success, and ultimately make sure that when it is implemented, that you don't have to spend weeks or hours chasing down, hey, did you do that thing we recommended? Did you guys do that? Did you do that? You'll have it in a single place. I'm not going to tell you about how we do that as a tool, right? Come talk to me if you think that's the right place for it now. I want to give you some concrete advice on how, when you're thinking about this from a tool perspective, how do you solve those 3 barriers? You can see them right here. First is centralizing. We need to have a single place where everything happens. If you have to dig into the virtual cabinets and drawers to find out what was that journey that we had done by that external company 3 years ago, wait, the research that you thought you had is not the right scope, or why are you this NPS score doesn't make any sense for what we're trying to measure here. Everything needs to be in a single place so that you can start creating that single language, right? The second piece is standardizing. Because once we get everything in one place, all the data connected to the journeys at the right place, at the right level of altitude, with the right level of granularity, then we can start helping people to communicate across those languages. That helps us to facilitate that operations. And it starts removing that time effort because now we're moving at the speed of business. And finally, you guys already can read it, so it's the management part or the journey ops part, whatever you want to call it. That's being able to help your different teams from those product teams all the way up to your senior executives. They finally have the one true dashboard that they need from the outside in perspective and truly track the progress from end to end. Show them in a single place how your effort, all the way from creating the journey to showing them how you've helped improve revenue increase for this particular product team in a single space. So that's the theory. I think it's always nice to bring it down to a concrete example. And so I have a specific use case. I must sadly not share the name because we work with very, very large organizations and absolutely none of them will let us use any of their single names except for these generic logos. And so we do think that you guys are really onto something. I'm here because we believe that this is going to be bigger than Agile. Agile transformed the way that we built lots of tiny silos of teams, still producing great stuff at speed, but with no direct connection to CX. If we can connect you guys to that Agile way of working, we are going to transform things. And it's already starting. So I have a brief, we actually work a lot with the automotive industry. We work with government, we work with pharma, we work with retail, we work with airlines and travel industry. I'm probably missing a whole bunch right here since I'm on the stage. But this is an example that happened very recently. This is one example, but I could give you a couple more that are very similar to this. And they will sound like the kind of things that I hope are the wins that you guys are already starting to book, which is why people are getting excited about what you're doing. A large automotive manufacturer has, the typical type of area. We have different types of products. We have different segments. We have different markets, and they all matrix on top of each other. So it's very difficult to pull all the data. This organization, I think they had something like 26,000 lines of surveys of satisfaction score over 2 years. How to parse that information into something useful? They used Journey AI, by the way, spoiler alert. When they were able to get everything structured in a single place, all the journeys identified from the raw data, and they were able to then start identifying those common opportunities that you start seeing with the power of customer centricity, not just my journey here or my journey here or my journey here. But guess what? There's this common problem that is not important enough for any one business unit or any one team, but we see across the line that it's the same experience. They identified that problem. They were able to surface it because it was a common opportunity that they could literally see cutting across all the noise. And by identifying that opportunity and fixing it, being able to measure the results, they were able to to increase a huge amount in terms of savings from those cancellation rates. And you've read the details here. I'm sharing a little bit of the behind the scenes in terms of how they came across that. That didn't happen overnight, but it didn't take years either. We've only been around for 3 years as a company doing fully the product system. So these things can happen at speed when you have the right pieces in place. So I talked a little bit about what's the state of the art. I talked a little bit about what are those key barriers that we see over and over again that stop the good work from really scaling, from getting that adoption. Some examples of what to look for when you're thinking about what are those building blocks that I need when I start standardizing from a tool perspective. And so a brief, hopefully inspiration example of how it's happening today, right now, very recent. Tools don't transform everything, right? And so we're here today with partners, with you guys. You need tools. If you have a printing press, it's much easier to spread literacy around the world. And so when you're thinking about that, know that the software will be one part of it. But of course, your success in terms of how you're deploying and the education, that's another aspect of it. And of course, to a lot of great comments from Essa and from the other speakers today, about your governance model. Do we have everybody on board? Do we have the same metrics that are actually coming from our top down as from what we're suggesting should be used for measurement, or are there conflicts? So when you take those in whole, you are able to really push this transformation. In conclusion, I said I would leave you with one key step that you can do right now. It takes only a few minutes. Um, that is because even though we have produced a tool, I told you guys our co-founders are actually they are living and breathing this right now. They were in the trenches helping organizations across all those pieces. And we've decided that we're going to fight the fight for the tool. We think that if we give you guys the right platform to change the way your senior management, your middle management, your product teams all align and interact with your work, that you are going to be able to revolutionize the way companies operate. To do that, you need to know where you are, right? Before a journey of 1,000 kilometers or miles starts with a single step, and you need to know where that starting step is. So this is our journey management framework. Kind of gives a very general idea of where your organization is today in terms of journey management practice, where we are, which of those models. We do see that oftentimes a lot of organizations are here, and that this can be a very difficult challenge. So this is not a linear scale where I just keep getting points and I go up. There's going to be pieces that are harder than others. And you might be at one of those key inflection points. So to know that, where is the friction? Where are we? Do have a short maturity scan. I was promised that it takes 3 minutes. I took 7. So just in case you're a slower person of a certain generation on the phone, it'll take 3 to 7 minutes. And it'll give you an exact idea, a 3-minute idea of exactly where you are, not just across tooling, but governance, process, metrics, data, all of those key components that we know are part of journey ops or journey management at scale. And that concludes what I hope was hopefully some inspiration for you today. Thank you so much for doing what you guys do and for having me to share some things from the front lines today.